Thank you very much. Hi, I'm Marcus. I am Senior Director of Creative and Strategy at SMG.
And I'm Fiona Blades, and I'm the founder of Mesh Experience.
And so we're stood on a whole stage dedicated to retail media. Obviously there's so much noise in the space right now, which is amazing. But is this really a revolution? Is that an overclaim? When we're stood in what I recently learned is the world's first industrial city that really lived through a revolution. Can we really confidently say that? How do we distinguish fact from fiction that Sam spoke about earlier? So we set ourselves 5 key questions to answer, and we'd love to share what we found out with you so far today to really look at the untapped potential of retail media. So the 5 questions that we set ourselves. Number 1, is retail media effective? Surely it's just wallpaper, people tune it out, don't they? Second question was, retail media is all about performance, isn't it? Is that all it does? Third question, is the future of retail media all in the online and sponsored search space that we hear so much about? Question 4, how well are we measuring the full impact of retail media? And question 5, given all of that we're going to share with you, what's the implications for that for brands and agencies and how budgets are being apportioned? So obviously the first thing we did was we looked at what research already existed, and specifically measuring the impact of retail media in the upper funnel. And we didn't find very much at all. There's a few brand lift studies that we've seen out of the US that are on single brands measuring single campaigns. And so we partnered with Mesh Experience to conduct what we think and we're claiming is probably the world's biggest study on the impact of retail media on the upper funnel. And if someone can disprove that, I would actually love to see what other research is out there that you can share. So we'll go with the claim for now. So obviously the talk of the impact and the potential for retail media is absolutely huge. There's huge audiences to play for, massive reach and impressions, really relevant audiences close to the point of purchase, and obviously that endorsement from retailers. So Fiona, could you talk us through exactly what we studied and what was included in the study?
Absolutely, Marcus. Well, we've actually got quite a unique way of capturing people's experiences in real time in a mobile diary platform. And in this mobile diary platform, participants record every single experience that they have with a brand. So this could be seeing a TV ad, it could be consuming the product, or it could be something to do with retail media. And participants come into our study every single day. Each participant just has a week that they're reporting, and we've been doing this for over 19 years. But before they report in their mobile diary, what we do is we ask them their perception of brands, awareness, consideration, recommendation, those kinds of things. And after they reported for a week, we ask them the same questions. Now what this means is you've got single source data. So unlike a brand lift study where you might have looked at what the brand metrics are before a campaign and what they are afterwards, but you're not entirely sure whether it was the campaign that drove that lift or it was something else, we can identify and isolate whether it was mass media, whether it was retail media, whether it was something in social. So that is something that is a little bit unique about the approach. And actually, if we have a look, as Marcus said, we collected a lot of data for this. And the reason was we really wanted it to be a credible study that had a lot of data behind it. So we worked over 15 months. We've got 15 months of data in this study. We worked across these different categories, so you can see the different categories that we were bringing in. And we logged nearly 37,000 experiences. And we then took those 37,000 experiences and we divided them into paid, owned, and earned media channels. Paid would be seeing a TV ad, but it could also be retail media. Owned might be eating the product or seeing packaging. It could also be a website or a brand's own app. And earned might be something you've seen in the news, or it could be a conversation that you've had with a friend. Then we took the paid experiences that you can see here, and we divided those into those that were retail and those that were mass media. Now, what we do need to remember about this methodology is that these are real people just reporting what they're experiencing in their everyday life. And unless something is connected to a retail brand, they won't know that it's a retail brand. So anything that has been powered by retailers would not be picked up in this study. So we would say that if anything, what we're looking at here is probably underplaying the power of retail.
Very good. So now we've gone through the research methodology and the data set. Let's kick off with those 5 questions. So the first question was, consumers are really busy. The world at large is a very noisy place. It gets even noisier when you get in store and closer to the point of purchase. So isn't retail media all wallpaper? Haven't consumers just learned to tune it out?
Well, the answer to that, Marcus, is no. In fact, retail media plays a pivotal role in keeping brands top of mind for consumers. So if we look at this, 34% of total paid experiences are coming from some form of retail media. 52% of people are reporting some kind of retail experience in an average week. And 1.9 experiences are through retail every single week. So I think this demonstrates the noticeability, the reach and the salience that this channel can provide. So retail media can be absolutely transformational for brands when brands are looking to keep front of mind with consumers. And I think that it's important that brands and agencies remember the power of retail media when they're planning their campaigns, which might be awareness building. So far from being wallpaper, it's more like having a brand ambassador whispering directly into your customer's ear just at the moment of maximum relevance. So let's rethink this wallpaper thing, Marcus, because maybe retail media is going to be the one that saves me.
Very good. Okay, on to question 2. Retail media, it's all about performance, isn't it? So yes, it absolutely does a fantastic job at driving conversion at the bottom of the funnel. And we know that through 15 years of campaign effectiveness data that we have in Plan Apps, over 15,000 campaigns evaluated, well over £1 billion worth of spend. So we know categorically retail media does a fantastic job at driving bottom of funnel conversion. We also know that the brands that are tapping into this data and insight are increasing their ROI at the bottom of funnel over time. But what about further up the funnel? I was brought up on and fully subscribed to the Field and Burnett's view of the world in terms of long and short. So we're absolutely in the short space here. So long is all about building brand equity. It's more emotional, it delivers long-term effects. Surely we're in the short space where we're talking about more targeted, more rational, delivering more short-term effects. But there's so much talk of retail media's potential to impact the upper funnel. So can one thing do both? Fiona, what's in the research that gives us some insight on its potential to drive that upper funnel?
Well, what's interesting, Marcus, is that we simply think about retail media as a performance-driving tactic. We've been blind to its most powerful attribute, which is building long-term brand equity. So we now know that retail media drives lower funnel, but the huge breakthrough that we had in understanding through the research was the extent to which retail media actually can build brand awareness, which is upper funnel. Not only did we prove that retail media drives awareness for brands, but we learned it delivered 3.6 times increase with regard to somebody's awareness of a brand. So if you're looking to build awareness, don't simply also rely just on the shelf, whether that's digital or physical shelf, but do think about adding paid retail media into the mix. So if we're just asking about retail media's ability to drive performance, I would say, Marcus, we're asking the wrong question.
Very good, the music puns keep coming. Question 3, we hear loads of talk and excitement about digitization, the expanding online capability, the power of sponsored search, certainly through Amazon. So should we be decreasing focus on what I've termed the less sexy traditional in-store?
I think I keep answering you in the same way, Marcos. It's no. What the data reveals is that retail media's power lies not just in its channel, but in its context. So we've seen earlier that retail media experiences drive a 3.6 times improvement in awareness. But what we're seeing now is that in-store, as opposed to digital, is incredibly effective. And that is driving consumer awareness at nearly 5 times the increase. So let's have a look, Marcus. Ignore in-store? No. Be here now.
Very good. We're barreling through these questions now. Question 4. So is the relevance of everything we've seen? Retail media is absolutely getting noticed. It's absolutely driving that awareness at the top of the funnel. It's changing how people connect with brands. So have we been measuring retail media success all wrong?
I'm going to answer a little bit differently this time, Marcus, just to break it up a little bit. I would say certainly too narrowly. Because let's have a look at the results on this chart. And what we can see in particular is the impact that retail media has on NPS. Now, as we all know, advocacy is an incredibly difficult brand metric to move. But we've seen very similar results with Boots Media Group. And there we coined the phrase, the 175-year-old influencer. Now just have a think about it. It's Boots. It's a brand that you love. You're an Advantage card customer. And Boots tells you about a beauty brand. Well, they're acting as an influencer. So engaging influencers nowadays is a really hot topic in marketer. But we mustn't forget that retailers are fantastic influencers. So when it comes to retail media, we've been counting coins when missing the gold mine. So, have we been measuring it all wrong? Definitely, maybe, absolutely, and perhaps dangerously so, because by fixating on conversion metrics, marketers have been missing out on the bigger picture. They've been using a microscope when they should have been using a telescope.
Excellent. Final question. So what does this mean for brands and agencies? Are we really saying that brands should be shifting budget away from mass media and into retail media?
Well, let's have a look at how similar the engagement levels are between retail and mass media. These figures are very, very similar. Retail media does show slight superiority in metrics like persuasiveness and relevance, but actually its power lies in how it's being amplifying and contextualizing mass media efforts as well. So the question isn't about shifting budgets. It's about understanding how retail media creates a resonance effect that makes all marketing more effective. So what we're saying is that brand and retail media should not be looked at separately. Retail media is a brand building tool, like TV. Retail media is both long and short, depending on how it's used. So, should we shift budget away from mass media? I think that was a very provocative question, which I like, Marcus. Well, the research suggests that we need to stop thinking in this either or, and we need to think about harmonic conversion. So, let's embrace one love.
Very good. So on to a quick summary. We've been through our 5 questions. Number 1, retail media absolutely is getting noticed. In fact, We know over a third of experiences that consumers are having with brands is happening through retail media. As Fiona said, that's probably underreported because what we haven't captured is any of the retail media that's powered by first-party data but isn't retailer branded. And in a world where brands are trying to stay top of mind and always on year round, retail media has got a really important part to play in keeping brands top of mind. Number two, retail media is absolutely categorically, possibly for the first time empirically, driving brand awareness. So we're seeing this multiplier effect of over 3 times of the ability of retail media to be driving brand awareness. Number three, in-store is really powerful. That impact goes up to 5 or 6 times the impact on brand awareness when we narrow it down and just look specifically at what's happening within the in-store environment of the retailer. Number four, retail media is impacting brand awareness, brand equity. It's changing how consumers are connecting with brands and what they think and feel about brands. And then finally, we're seeing retail media impact really hard to impact metrics such as recommendation. So Fiona, have you got some final thoughts on implications?
I have, Marcus. I think first of all, we actually need some new ways to measure. And we need to measure upper funnel as well as lower funnel. So I'm sure that everybody in this room has heard of share of voice. Well, actually, SMG and Mesh Experience are going to bring you the Retail Share of Experience score, which will be a measure of how present brands are in the retail space. I like to think about it as a superhero metric, or maybe it's a supersonic metric. So if you want to hear more, do get in touch with Marcus and myself. We're on LinkedIn. But let's just take a stage further, Marcus. And I think that marketers need to fundamentally rethink how they view, deploy, and measure retail media, because it is not just a performance channel, and it's potentially the most powerful brand building tool in the modern marketing arsenal. So is the industry ready to acknowledge this? Up north, in my hometown of Manchester, a city known for its entrepreneurialism, its global role in the Industrial Revolution, where my great-great-great-great-grandfather, Archibald Edmiston, walked all the way from Glasgow to Manchester to be part of that, where my mother, aged 50, set up an indie nightclub in the Manchester era, the Brick House nightclub on Whitworth Street. Marcus, I think the answer to that question will be yes.
Very good. Thank you very much, Fiona. There's a copy of the research, the whole research report on everyone's seat. If you do want a digital copy, we'll be emailing it out, but also you can contact Fiona or I on LinkedIn and we can send you the digital version. Thanks very much.